Attention! Order in the court. Today's proceedings finds the people versus James McGill.
Legal troubles got you down, inheritance coming up short, scammers getting the last laugh, ha! Drug lords in your future. Well, where there's a will, there's a way. Because he'll get your case dismissed. He'll fight for you. He'll get you the defense you deserve, but only if you say the words.
Oh no! I need legal representation. Whatever shall I do? What do I say? Oh, wait. I know. Better Call Saul. So without further ado, it's time to start judging Saul. Court is now in session.
You will atone.
It's proceedings, isn't it, Dragon? It's proceedings.
Oh, there's no attention. Yes. Anyway.
There's no attention? Oh,
there's no attention!
Folks, I will never get this right. I'm sorry. But is it proceedings or proceedings? Because I can never remember.
It's proceedings!
It's proceedings! So I got both
Proceedings who's sitting in the fancy chair!
Okay. I'm sitting in the fancy chair. Anyways, so Dragon, we are here to talk about Better Call Saul, Season 3, Episode 3, Sunk Costs. Now, let me see. Oh, crap, Dragon. Sorry, I have the Wikipedia pulled up, and then I accidentally closed it. So, just to give credit where credit's due here, folks, for the writing and directing. So this episode was directed by John Shiban and was written...
Director, John, I was going to give with some bona fide.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
John Shiban, of course, director of Rebecca from last season, and from Breaking Bad, he directed Sunset. And what this guy's famous for is he was one of the first Breaking Bad directors that not only both direct and write, but most notably, he went from the writer's room to the director's chair.
Nice.
And we have our writer.
And the writer is Jennifer Hutchinson.
Everyone loves Jennifer Hutchinson. What a great writer. She, of course, has written Cobbler, kind of a favorite from season 2, Bali High.
Yes.
And Hero, which I think Hero definitely has a correlation with this episode.
Of course. All right, so Dragon, let's dive right into it. Let's get into Sunk Costs. And I would argue, Dragon, the cold open of Sunk Costs is the most Breaking Bad cold open that we've gotten up to this point.
Well, there's definitely some evidence for that one.
Yeah.
So we see shoes. We open with red shoes on a power line.
Now, Dragon, I have some context for this. I know what the red shoes represent. If you want me to get into that.
Okay.
So basically, folks, really quick, red shoes are not specifically red. It doesn't have to be the color, but just shoes hanging over a power line in general. That's a sign for that a drug house is in the area. Not necessarily that the drug house is right out front of the shoes, but that it's in the area, that you're close.
There's some minutia. Sometimes it signals different things depending on what the organization or like what the kind of the specifics of the drug gang or culture are.
There's definitely variations on it, but from what I've heard, like the main variation on it is, like I said, it's to mark not the exact location of a drug location, but like kind of like the vicinity of a drug location. Like, oh, you're getting warmer. Yeah.
That's why you see. In addition, just kind of like the charm of like, his kids just kind of throwing it up there, see if they can get the shoes landing. It is for that purpose, and that's why also you have the marker of, okay, we're in a bad neighborhood because, okay, drugs are nearby.
Out of curiosity, Dragon, have you seen Big Fish?
Yes.
Remember the town that had like all the shoes on the...
Again, it's kind of eerie omen. That's kind of the purpose.
Right,
they're going for like bad stuffs here.
Okay. But yeah, we see this, like I said, it's such a Breaking Bad cold open. Like, it would not feel out of place at all in a Breaking Bad season.
Now, importantly, the shoes we see in the opening here are not just red. These shoes are like they've been baked. These are like kind of sun baked. They've been here for a long time. And then we see a Pollos Hermanos truck.
Yes.
And basically, as the truck kind of it's at a red light or something that goes by, and the shoelaces snap, and the shoes fall.
Very ominous. Very ominous.
Now, two things to note with this. One, that was an impressive effect for them to get because they had to kind of find a way, like kind of remote using magnets. They had to unfuse the shoelaces.
Magnets, bitch.
Exactly. And also, speaking of which, this actually has been confirmed. At least it's been confirmed by Gilligan Crew. Is that this was the first jump we've had directly to the midst of Breaking Bad.
Oh, really?
According to them, they might have just said, well, for all we know, the Pollos Hermanos truck could still be operating at this time, but it depends, like, how much stock you put in, like, how long these shoes could feasibly hold.
That's interesting because I just assumed that it was, like, later on in the day or something like that.
All I can say is, unless they were joking, the implication, they might have been joking, but, I mean, they've said that this is, like, our first glimpse at Breaking Bad.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So whether this is, like, in the midst of this most likely in the midst of Breaking Bad, like right before Breaking Bad, like all this stuff's going on. Your point is this could be.
So you're saying not the episode itself, but the cold open.
Yeah, the cold open directly leads. This cold open is like kind of the aftermath, like way after this episode.
Oh wow, that's.
I mean, the only
really impressive.
Look, the only questionable thing is like how long could the shoes feasibly sit there? Like, could they last like 6 years or no?
Sure.
But I mean, take that out of the equation. It's like, hey, this is our first glimpse at the middle of Breaking Bad.
Right.
It's pretty neat, huh?
And of course, one of my favorite cold opens of Breaking Bad involved the Pollos Hermanos trucks. The whole. How does it go? Like, one taste and you'll know. Anyways, okay, so back to the present day. We're with Mike. Of course, we get synced up with the cliffhanger for Mike's storyline, and in episode 2, he's on the phone with Gus. By the way, Dragon, something that we didn't really bring up when we were talking about episode 2, I just love how badass Mike answers the phone, just like one word. Yeah. Speaking of which, Dragon, you want to set up our little tribute to our favorite airman trout?
Certainly. So, folks, I think it goes without saying, but we love to be visual with our expression of love. We not only love Jonathan Banks, we love the character that Jonathan Banks is so identified with and so kind of been synonymous with. That's what I'm looking for. I was thinking monotonous. I was like, no, that's completely opposite of what I'm trying to say.
At least until I can play the genie in Aladdin BlueDragonFive. That's going to be my big break.
But in all serious, Mike Ellick and I not only love Mike, but the world loves Mike. And we need like something like kind of like an I Heart New York-esque symbol to represent that. So this is what we come up with. Kind of basically we're tracking how much we love Mike this season, as we've usually done in the past. And now we're being all technological with it. So you'll notice, episode 1, that's where we start in the dead center there. We moved up a little last episode. Now we're going a little down south for kind of down south with the low, kind of towards the Texas.
So we heart Mike right about there.
Yeah, I mean everything's going south this episode, so we might as well go kind of south of the direction.
Fair enough. Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, we pick up with the gas cap phone call, which you're right, there was a cool thing. And we did talk about it a little bit how it was just kind of like a really cool kind of setup, like the phone was just sitting there for me.
No, you're right, but I'm specifically talking about Mike's delivery of the word "yeah." It's just it's so great. Yeah. All right.
Then we have a really great line that, of course, foreshadows a huge moment, a really cool moment from Breaking Bad at the end of season 3. This conversation is very akin to Full Measure, where it's Gus on the phone against lovely hear Gus on the phone. Get to hear the episode of that.
Yes.
I assume you're armed. I do not wish to see your gun. I do promise you won't see it. But if I see your gun, I do promise you won't see mine.
Very ominous.
If I do, I promise you won't see mine. It's a really cool threat, and it's kind of like Walt in the car saying, I can assure you I can kill you from here if I really wanted to.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Again, very, very kind of Full Measure-esque. So, let's see. So Mike's asking about, Gus arrives in all black. Again, Gus Fring always looking stylish and intimidating.
Not
only
Mike just wastes no time. He just rips out, the note that caused so much speculation. The don't. It's like,
We don't have that on hand.
No, we don't. I'm sorry. Care to elaborate?
Right.
Just his dry delivery, like he's talking over where they're gonna eat for dinner or something. Anyways.
Yeah. Of course, I love that Gus is also met by his two notable henchmen from Breaking Bad, Victor and Tyrus.
Oh God, Tyrus was there?
Yeah, Tyrus was
totally
the other guy. How did you? I'm surprised you didn't notice that. Yeah, it's Tyrus.
Honestly, because I never really liked Tyrus. That's probably why I didn't notice him. But okay. So, Tyrus was a jerk, man. That's all I'm saying. In season 4, that guy was a jerk.
Well, he had his cute moment with Walt, though. He already had that cute moment like, does the laundry have to be dirty? No.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's a jerk. Anyways.
No, he's a little lively. He's all serious, all gloom, barely said a word. Like, it's like the one word he would say. Nope.
All right.
Anyway, so Gus and Mike, they're talking business. Mike's getting right to the point with don't. Gus explains, it is not my best interest for Hector Salamanca to die at this time. I love the moment of pause that goes by at this time. He just emphasizes, oh boy, do I want this guy dead. And again, you're going to see an awesome flashback in season 4 Breaking Bad. We can't get there yet.
And of course, it's just like a nod to all the fans of Breaking Bad. Like, yep, Gus is eventually going to kill Hector, and Hector is eventually going to kill Gus.
Well, technically, Gus does not kill Hector.
Well, you know what I mean. Close enough.
I know. I'm just saying. It's kind of like that's the one kind of screw you song with the Gus. Anyway, so again, basically we have kind of our big meeting we've kind of set up since the end of last season. Gus meeting Mike, and of course these two are going to be very simpatico going forward in the Breaking Bad. Kind of Mike's going to be Gus's most dangerous agent, his most kind of trusted kind of disciple in a way.
Of course,
they're really kind of getting out of the way, like what they have in common with Hector. Says, who is he to you? And basically it's an associate of an associate, which basically they ask this question to each other. Now, interestingly, Gus's response is Hector Salamanca is an associate of an associate. So, of course, what he means by that associate, I guess, he might just be referring to Don Eladio, but he could mean of like a business kind of contact, though. So we'll see how that one develops.
Sure.
Mike, of course, reveals he threatened his family, which he's really not letting that one go. Gus then points out strategically. I love how Gus is kind of breaking down Mike here, and again we're kind of boiling.
This very much reminds me of like the whole "What kind of man are you?" speech that he gets walled at the beginning of season 3.
Gus points out that Mike had let it go by taking his 50 grand.
Right.
And then he took it further, kind of took it more personal when he robbed his trucks, which hurt Salamanca's operations.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just Gus kind of showing how much it's a twofold power move. Gus is showing how much he knows about Mike up to this point, as he points out, the civilian driver, the Good Samaritan, as he's referred to in season 2, who the driver that Mike kind of non-lethally took down. He freed him, and then, of course, they had the tie up loose ends, and the rest of the Salamanca's men came and killed the Good Samaritan, which really ticked off Mike, and then, led to him almost killing Hector. So the point is, Gus is really well informed, as the man who can put don't on Mike Ehrmantraut's windshield would have to be.
Sure.
So then he's asking Mike why. So, why still do it? Why still go after Salamanca? I mean, obviously, you're taking it further than you really should. Obviously, you want something out of him. Basically, why does it bother? Was the civilian getting killed bother? He says, Mike has an awesome line. He has a really kind of strong line, him saying he wasn't in the game. In reference to the civilian. The civilian wasn't in the game. He said, he isn't biased. He didn't know that, he wasn't involved in like the game of taking your life in your own hands or
sure
thing. And then we have this great bit here again, kind of an exchanging of kind of reasonableness. Again, the business-like transactions of Gus Fring, as always. Just
that we've done so well in Breaking Bad that he's like so famous for.
Again, they like hearing Giancarlo Esposito say, "I'm not unsympathetic to your position."
Oh, sure. Okay, it's like we're out in the middle of the desert. We've got cars rolling up on another car. This is classic Breaking Bad territory right here.
Then, of course, Mike does what he always does best. He respectfully declines initially. He respectfully declines Gus's offer. I'm not entirely unsympathetic to him. He basically offers him a job to, further cripple Hector Salamanca's operations, with more robberies and odd jobs, et cetera, which, of course, we're going to get a glimpse of more of those. So Mike respectfully, because again, that's what Gus really admires about Mike, that he was able to kind of get one over on Salamanca and do so without doing what the easy option would be, a lot of chaos, a lot of destruction, a lot of kind of on the nose violence.
Sure.
Mike has what the Tick would love to call finesse. Well, he does. So again, Mike respectfully declines. They're all prepared to part ways. No more. Mike makes it clear, okay, no more of your minions following me. Just like that.
Goodbye, Mr. Armand.
As long as you are done with Hector Salamanca. And then we have the goodbye, Mr. Intro.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So then as he's walking away, Mike kind of, wait. Then we see Mike says, wait. And he then turns the tables a little bit and he unravels Gus's manipulation. Gus's motivation.
Sure, exactly.
He says, wait a minute, why are you so motivated? Basically, he kind of deduces in a way, you want to disrupt the supply. You want to disrupt Hector's supply. He's your competition, which again is a really logical conclusion. Oh, yes, he would. That's why Gus is really being also helpful to Mike here. He's your competition. And he asks, because, sorry. And Gus is asking you why. Well, yeah, sure. Why are you asking me this? He says, you're done with Hector Salamanca because I'm not done with Hector Salamanca. Basically, Mike's saying I want in.
So it's basically Mike saying like he wants in, but he wants to let Gus know that he's not just going to be manipulated by Gus. That if he's going to do this, it's going to be like on the same level. You know what I mean? Like
because essentially what Gus is saying. Because essentially what Gus is saying is like, hey, you did this for the for the money, and you have like some sort of honor code. I respect that, but at the end of the day, you do also need some money out of this, and we can align our stuff here. Mike's kind of not necessarily taking offense to what Gus is saying there, but he's also realizing, we do have something we can. Again, he's seeing kind of the mutually beneficial relationship they can have here.
Sure. Okay.
And again, the thing that before we get into the next scene is highlight with Gus. Again, we're still unsure about this yet. Gus is either starting out. He's either starting out as like the point he is at in Breaking Bad, where he's starting. He has his own operation. Basically, let's just say the meth labs are still in operation, or he's still really low on the food chain, using Polos Hermanos as a laundering opportunity, as a front before it's like shipping the drugs. We don't know that part. We don't know how far he is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as we linked up with the aftermath of Mike's scene at the end of last episode, we then link up to the aftermath of Jimmy's scene from last episode, which is really thrilling.
Yeah, it's and Jimmy at this point is just like he's just kind of sunk, pun intended, based on the title of the episode. He's just like he's not even angry at this point. He's just sort of numb to the whole process. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, again, this is one of Bob Odenkirk's finest scenes. It really
absolutely.
Is. Again, he did a really good job at the end of the last episode. But this scene is just like kind of the burnout after the flare.
I mean, the end of last episode was definitely kind of the high point of his emotion, and this is kind of the more nuanced sort of come down of the emotions. So, anyways, so he's calling. He's. Oh shit! What's her name? God damn it! I'm sorry. Francesca. I had Regina written down in my notes, and I'm like, wait, that's not right.
That's Bates Motel.
I know. So he calls Francesca to kind of reschedule his appointment. Says he's gonna, he doesn't know exactly when he can reschedule, and also to let Kim know that he's going to be gone for the night.
Importantly, he grabs 2 plot points out of his glove compartment while this is going on, because of course we never do anything halfway in the Albuquerque verse. We always got to kind of have some visual setup and foreshadow, because he's grabbing an old pack of cigarettes from the glove box, as well as importantly, a matchbook that says LBI bail bonds.
Oh yeah.
Might be important. So Jimmy is just he's utterly defeated and somber, and he's just sitting on the curb. And this shot always struck me from the promo from last episode. Just Jimmy on the outside because we know he knows what's coming. He doesn't need to run away because why delay?
Sure.
He's sitting on the curb outside waiting for the inevitable arrest he's going to face, and then Chuck. Oh boy, Chuck walks.
Let's talk about this SOB Chuck. All right, gloves are off, Brendan. Gloves are off with this guy. This guy.
It's really, and here's the thing, Tiki, and I think honestly, let me theorize something with Chuck, just kind of how, of course, breaking in the Albuquerque verse, especially, we've been through this with Breaking Bad. Walter White's always like he was a character who kind of led the writers along the path, and we have the same thing going on with Jimmy McGill. When they got into Better Call Saul, as it's come on, they're surprised like the direction that Jimmy's taking them in, kind of the turns the story is taking.
I see, yeah, for sure.
And what I'm just trying to say with that is, again, Better Call Saul, I'm in love with the writing process on Better Call Saul, as per usual. And with that, I think what they've discovered along the path is that, they in the first two seasons, especially the first season, they're trying to lay out kind of an understandable path for where Chuck's coming from. Where you see that Chuck has a point. And then two is like at the core of it, he still has a point, but he's doing more and more increasingly unlikable things to Jimmy. And now we're at a point where his things are outright hypocritical and villainous. And basically he's become a villain, but that's why Vince Gilligan will defend Chuck, because he knows, like, fundamentally they intend it to come from a place of, well, where he's going. I know he's technically right at the end of the day, but now he's doing these villainous things. Again, it's the character developing. What I love about this episode with Chuck is that they kind of reignite you get that he thinks he's doing the right thing. You understand that, again, he's still very hypocritical.
The hypocrisy of it all just all the more unbearable, though, to tell you the truth.
Well, that's the thing, though. I think what Michael McKean's doing really well in this episode is that he's playing him so, again, he's this character like a great Marvel villain, for example. He thinks he is absolutely in the right, but he just doesn't get it. He doesn't get that he's the bad guy. Mm-hmm. I think he's playing it so well because he is playing kind of the loving brother, but again, he just doesn't see, as we, the audience, can see, oh my God, he's doing such horrible things.
Yeah, so, of course, one thing I have to mention right away, Dragon, I know this isn't a huge issue, it just gets under my skin. The fact that, like, Chuck, at this point, I think Chuck is exaggerating his illness. At this point, I think that Chuck is using his illness as leverage because he's just able to be out on the curb with Jimmy and, like, he's not even batting an eye. He doesn't have his space blanket. I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, I know he says he can be outside for short periods of time, but it still bugs me. It still yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm saying that it kind of takes me back to kind of what makes the scene even more bittersweet. Kind of takes me back to those scenes where outside of Chuck's house, the trained Chuck to be on the outside, Jimmy would sit with him. So I'm saying, like, that area, like, again, like the front lawn, the back lawn, I guess, of the house, that's where, mainly the front lawn, that's kind of where Matt is most comfortable getting out of the house. I buy that. And it just makes it all the more painful because Jimmy helped him get to that place.
Sure.
So, point is, so Jimmy's all defeated and somber, sitting on the curb, he's lighting up, and Chuck just walks up to Jimmy, and again, this offering, and again, it's like that demented sense of civility, even though he's done unspeakable things to
right.
He walks up, and again, he means well, but it's just not sense the irony of the situation. Chuck just walks up to Jimmy and he offers for him to wait inside. Like, yeah, I just screwed you over. Why don't you wait inside, though? And again, he's trying to be civil because he thinks he's done his brother. See, here's the thing. Chuck's looking in the big picture. He's looking at the big picture of, I can help my brother. I can stop my brother from ending up on like a huge prison sentence by giving him a small prison sentence.
And Dragon, I think I did kind of call something last episode, which is that I do feel like Chuck is very much kind of like he feels responsible for letting Jimmy kind of get out of the Chicago sunroof incident, and I think some of this is sort of like overcompensating for that. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of just going back on that.
Yeah,
like he's going back on the second chance that he gave Jimmy with the Chicago sunroof.
Yes, and Chuck's kind of overreacting a little, but it is stemming from that. Again, it's like he gave him a second chance. And again, he did try, but Chuck doesn't seem to understand. It's like, again, he's the reason the second chance bombed. Right. So again, Chuck is looking for a hopeful outcome. He's looking 5 years down the line. He's looking at another 5 years, because, well, no, that might have been 10 years back. My point is years down the line. 5 years down the line, he's Yeah, that's where he's looking to. This being for Jimmy's own good, and Jimmy will thank him for it. And the minute he said that, he might even thank him for it. Like, well, sorry, maybe not even thank him for it. He doesn't say that. That'd be truly hitting the nail on the head. But no, he genuinely thinks that Jimmy will thank him one day for the actions he's doing now to save him. And again, it's coming from this twist again. Perhaps for McKean again for just kind of selling the heck out of Chuck truly kind of believing this.
Sure,
he's the good guy. And again, what's so kind of twisted about that is, again, like years down the line, that's, of course, Saul Goodman. Again, he's fueling the path for Saul Goodman. He doesn't even know he's making his brother worse.
He's making a monster.
Again, while he thinks he's like saving his brother, he's actually condemning him.
He's basically giving him no other choice but to be the criminal lawyer that he turns out to be.
Every shot he takes at Jimmy McGill is a brick in Saul Goodman's building.
Totally.
So then he's basically Chuck says he's doing this to show, he says, I will press charges, Jimmy. You know this because he's doing this to show Jimmy I'm doing this to show Jimmy, to show you that you have to make a change before you destroy yourself or someone else. And I'll basically getting to the point where it says, hey, and whatever, basically essentially after whatever happens, I'll be there to help you and help you walk the path when you get out.
Now, what's frustrating about that line, Dragon, is, of course, Jimmy was there for Chuck. And what Chuck is... God damn, it's so frustrating. It's like all Jimmy wants to do is, like, help some old people write out their wills. You know what I mean? Is that too much to ask? Like, is that such a heinous act on Jimmy's part? Is that, like, you really need to take that away from him?
And as much as I'll try to infuse, like, again, where Chuck is somewhat justified in his point, just again in the intentions where it's coming from, that we know in the end he's correct, but again he's fulfilling the prophecy, which is why he's always kind of undercutting himself there. But the thing I want to point out that really shows you that Chuck is truly in the wrong in this scene, aside from just like the fact we like Jimmy over Chuck in general for what he's doing. Like that guy's making it hard for our good guy. We instantly don't like him. Aside from that, is that he is in this scene. You can tell just by the way this dialogue's kind of phrased is that Chuck is looking at Jimmy as a success story in a project before he's a human being or a brother, and that's where it's coming down. Just that simple fact is why Chuck's instantly in the wrong. That's why we can all kind of agree with. Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, again, he's looking at him. He's looking to the future. He's not looking in the present, which is a huge problem. And again, it just shows you where Chuck's kind of fascinated with the legal world, but again, he can't get out and he can't survive in it. He can't identify with people. That's why, in a way, Chuck will never be he'll never be a personal lawyer. Chuck could always be like the guy with his name on the building, but in like kind of signing, kind of ordering people to go to cases. Like again, HHM suggested, he would be the guy doing the paperwork and everything. He can never interact with clients. Because again, he's looking.
Which really goes back to the, the Mama McGill thing, the Mama Mabel McGill thing.
Mater? No, let's get rid of the Mabel thing.
I know.
Mama McGill. But yeah, you're right. There's a point. Again, he's all about kind of like the names on the buildings, the plaques, making Mama McGill proud instead of making her laugh.
Totally.
All boils down to that sentiment. Again, I'm so fascinated by the actors come up with these character backstories and these character kind of summations. They make their way into the show. Again, Jonathan Banks, of course, with the relationship to Stacey Ermintrout. Of course, we got all that. Yeah. So let's see. So he's looking at Jimmy's success story, and again, then we have one of the best moments of the episode. This fantastic performance from just an emotionally defeated Bob Odenkirk as Jimmy here. Just when he delivers one of the best, most somber things you've ever heard in Better Call Saul. He just says,
"I've got it word for word if you want."
Okay, yeah. Well, let me again build it up. So again, he's just done, and he's not saying it like overly over the top or angry. He's just saying it's so defeated, just so openly and honestly. Because again, we don't kind of know this of why Chuck should always be nice to his brother. He's just kind of voicing, "You screwed up, Chuck, and here's what's going to happen." Just very directly. Go on.
All right. One day you're going to get sick, and one of your employees of yours is going to find you in a corner, curled up in your little space blanket. They're going to send you to the hospital, Chuck. They're going to hook you up to machines that beep and whirl and hurt, and it'll be too much for you. And you will die there alone. And then, Yeah, and then really quick as the police car's pulling up, like, perfectly timed, the police car's pulling up, he's just like, there's my ride. And I genuinely believe that Jimmy would rather just, like, get it over with and get booked and everything than sit there another minute listening to Chuck's BS. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, go
Absolutely.
ahead. It's a very cutting line. It's one of the most cutting lines of the series so far, I think.
There were two lines in that really just again still wow me. So one was I love the emphasis on hurt because again that's just him kind of saying within the lines, just saying like you hurt me, I cared about you most, I lived up to your example, and you hurt me, and I every time I see you in pain, it pained me. Now not anymore. It's like now it's not the case. Like this is you couldn't basically saying with one line in a way, just saying like all the levels of hurt, just kind of coming with that little hesitation before hurt. Then of course the whole and then you'll die there alone. And again, Chuck is McKean is also playing this. He's receiving this really well. Where it's just he's taking of like again, why am I the bad guy? And again, he just doesn't see it.
I'm trying to help you by screwing over your entire career, Jimmy.
Again, and he's playing it so just again. He's playing it so he does not see. It's just it's astounding how well he's playing that.
Right.
Yeah, he just doesn't see it. And again, he's like, I think I like to think that just that sends a twinge of like. I think that sends like I think Chuck just for a moment when he says you'll die there alone, just like what Jimmy says here does strike a chord with Chuck. And again, he's kind of taking it for the wrong reason, but I think it is fueling the whole. Maybe we don't have to go about this the direct path. I'll still basically I think this motivates him coming up with the alternative measure, which is still a big screw you to Jimmy.
I'm not sure about that. We'll get there when we get there, but I think
I understand. Yeah,
like it's always kind of been. My whole thing is that it's always sort of been Chuck's goal to disbar Jimmy. So, anyways,
but you see what I mean. Though, regardless, it's like he does feel something in the scene when he is fundamentally hurt when his brother says that he's going to die there alone. And again, he doesn't get like why that's absolutely what should happen.
Sure.
They get less Chuck dying, more just like why that's absolutely what would happen after all the crap he's put Jimmy through. Again, it's like Chuck doesn't even look out for his own well-being in this case. Like, hey, again, the only guy that cares about you on this planet. You're sending him away, quite literally. This is what's feasibly is going to happen. He's pointing that out, like, Chuck, you've made your bed, and I'm going to lie. I'm not going to be there to bail you out. What if I go down for this? If I don't, I'm not coming back. So you just screw yourself either way. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to hate you for it. But then we get again just to follow that really great scene, that great acting. We then have an excellent montage, and again, this is a huge moment because this quite possibly could send him down the Saul Goodman path. This scene, so it might be a huge moment.
Sure.
Again, it's kind of it's a huge embarrassment for Jimmy at the same time. Just we have the
I could not find the name for the life of me. I just have coworker in my notes, which is embarrassing.
Wait, what do you mean coworker? No, I'm talking about the song choice.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant the guy that comes in.
I know who it is.
Okay, good.
You know who it is, but I didn't know what the song. You know what the song?
I do not know the song. I apologize. I was jumping the gun a little bit. I'm sorry. It's a good song.
Sorry, folks. I can't. It's it's a Little Richard song. I can't read my own handwriting what it's called. I'm sorry. It's something down. It's something down. It's by Little Richard. It's a really good song though. It's again, it's really great kind of montagey song. Just it feels like it's kind of like the blues for Jimmy in a way. It's like Jimmy's arrested and he's booked, and it's like and they play like kind of this huge kind of this huge moment, which it is, and then they have all these great little shots here. Just again, so you feel so bad for Jimmy in this scene. It's kind of the ultimate humiliation of a lawyer being. We see the ring again, the representation of Saul and slipping Jimmy kind of put into the bag. Matchbook, which may be important.
Right.
Again, we get a very realistic processing and mugshot going on here because again, the realistic in the processing is that he has to remove the shoes. They give him a little slip on. You never see these things when people get arrested. Again, the fact that he has to take off the tie. Any unnecessary, bad stuff happening in the cell. Again, they have to do all these little minute things. We never see this done in any other show. Again, that's kind of the great thing of Court in the Albuquerque versus Court in the average kind of Law and Order type situation. So then we have this really cool, the inventive shots. We get the fingerprint POV shot, which is really cool.
The fingerprints are not digital, unlike in Bates Motel.
No. Let's see. Then we have Jimmy's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then we have Jimmy's old pal, DDA, Bill Oakley.
Bill Oakley. Okay, I for the life of me could not remember this guy. It was bothering me when I was doing the notes.
I was really sad as I told you about him. I told you what his name was last episode, so that's what makes
Dude, are you really surprised at this point that I have a shit memory? Are you really surprised, Dragon? It's established that I have a shit memory, okay?
Anyway, so let's see. So then, basically, Oakley is showing up as Jimmy's kind of being cuffed to the cuffed to like the waiting area. Basically, to see if the rumors were true. There's a lot of murmuring, a lot of talk because he's going to PD, I believe, the same place. Yeah, that's why Oakley's there. He's in PD.
Mm-hmm.
The police department kind of
kind
of set up like we've been at for all the seasons.
Where Mike has his parking job. Yeah. Yeah,
so feasibly, Mike is like out there. He has no idea what's going on the inside.
right.
So again, now what's a great here? Again, Oakley. Again, Oakley's a fun character. I like how he plays it here. He's kind of like he's breaking Jimmy's balls, but he fundamentally.
Well, the interesting thing about Oakley is that Oakley is kind of like Jimmy McGill if Jimmy McGill did not have the slipping Jimmy side of him in a way. That's kind of how I read him.
Unless that Tiki, I view it more of like it's basically it's Jimmy. Well, okay, maybe you're right with if he didn't go some Jimmy.
Well, I say that because basically, like the Davis and Maine job that Jimmy had is essentially this guy's like that's all this guy wants in life. Like that's like this guy's end game is the Davis and Maine gig, and of course the reason why Jimmy didn't like the Davis and Maine gig is because of the slipping Jimmy thing. So I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say just because he's like on the prosecution side versus the public defender side, so it's but I think you're now you say it, I do think more on the money. Like, what if he didn't go the Slippin' Jimmy? Because the Slippin' Jimmy rat is like why he didn't take the Davis and Maine job. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
He wouldn't be so conformative with the system like this guy. So I think you're right. That he's basically what if Jimmy didn't go with the Slippin' Jimmy rat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
all right.
So again, the point is, Oakley. I like that. Oakley is, he's kind of Jimmy's ball breaking friend. Essentially, that's what Oakley is. He's, they wheel and deal all the time, and they dress that in the episode. The two of them we saw in the wonderful sequence in back in season 1, episode 2, when they're kind of like making deals and stuff with each other. Back when Jimmy thought he was a really good lawyer. Sure. The whole I'm the best lawyer ever. And then we have the montage of like him just going through a day like on top of his game of like just kind of wheeling and dealing with this guy. And that's why we know Oakley. And again, it's kind of a neat little relationship. It's like Oakley likes, and I think the reason Jimmy likes Oakley, I think that what the relationship kind of really flourishes at is the fact that he brings Jimmy back to his slippin' Jimmy. It's like with Oakley, Jimmy can get into a slippin' Jimmy mode on the job. He can wheel and deal someone like Jimmy, slippin' Jimmy, who is a wheel and dealer.
Sure.
And they're like old college pals in a way too. It's like they're old college pals. They take their shots at each other, and there's a little bit of jealousy, of course, with the that heartbreaking scene from season 2, might have been Bally High, I think, where he says, "Oh, I bet you gave you a sweet car." And Omar.
Yes, Omar mentioned. We love our mentions of obscure characters, Dragon.
No, we really did like Omar. Before Francesca, before Francesca, I thought Omar was going to get the job, but then I realized, oh wait, Omar's got a Davis and Maine, cushy jobs.
Sure.
Plus, he does have a family to provide for, so yeah. Anyway, so. And again, I like that. He is. Oakley's. He's not a bad guy, but he's still a friend to Jimmy. Even though he does kind of like seemingly he's just like mocking Jimmy all throughout the scene. But again, he's asking like, "Do you need anything? You okay?"
Yeah. He's checking in on it. He's kind of talking him through the situation. Like, yeah, odds are you're going to be here for the night. Anything I can get you. Stuff
he
like
tries
that.
He tries getting the first. He says he'll try getting the first appearance moved up. Again, it's unlikely. He said he'll give it a shot. So again, he is. He hopes things will be okay for Jimmy. Because he knows the guy. They've done. They knew each other for years in the PD thing.
Mm-hmm.
Again, he tells him it was Chuck, and he reminds him of the Davis and Maine stuff, and then he hopes things will. Be okay. Then we have the he's like kind of busting his chops a little by saying hey, remember, punch the biggest guy.
Show dominance.
Yeah. And of course we have the nail salon being referenced too in this.
Yeah,
scene.
I don't doubt that the nail salon is less comfortable than a jail cell, Dragon. I really don't doubt that.
And then we have kind of a sad shot of, again, Jimmy alone, like he said Chuck would be for a moment there. Just kind of, he's all left alone there. So a little bit of storytelling there, just Jimmy all alone. Not even his brother loves him.
All right.
Next morning.
Yeah, we get this again ready montage.
So this seems to be a signature with John Shaban because John Shaban. It's Shaban just sounds kind of catchy. John Shaban, however his name's pronounced. The director that he did Rebecca, in which Rebecca had the post-it note sequence with Kim.
Okay, yeah, I was going to bring that up. Right, this is very similar to that.
Harkening back to the post-it note in the I don't know if I think My Way was in there because she eventually gets the things. So it points both sequences, the post-it note scene and the My Way scene.
But yeah, you're right.
Really
this is kind of started to be a staple for the Kim character. Of we have at least one montage per season, just showing how efficient she is. You know what I mean?
I really love this. I don't know if anyone else did, but I really loved the Kim waking up montage.
It was fun.
Yeah,
like all Breaking Bad montages, it's very well edited.
I love how triumphant it was too. Is basically kind of this. It was again amazing what they do with this scene is like they did with the post-it note thing, but here they do even better. It's like they made mundanity exciting.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
It's like a glimpse at Kim's, kind of. It's like a glimpse at Kim's kind of spin-off, at her '70s spin-off of it's also catchy and it's like a kind of a Mary Tyler Moore opening. She'll never make it on her. She's so it's so well edited and so well put together. He goes to have these great things like her getting the coffee and going and the fitness member card.
Mm-hmm.
I love the logic again. I just love the mundanity here. It makes all the sense in the world. You once you get all nice and prepped for work, there's a fitness, a North Valley Fit. Kind of like gym across from Wexler McGill, and that's where she goes to kind of get all showered right. And changed and made up and everything, and then she just walks across the street to work. That's a great idea.
Yeah,
it's really convenient.
All right.
So then she spies Ernie's car on the walk from the gym to work.
And let's just get right back on the fuck Chuck bandwagon, Dragon. Let's just hop right back on that bandwagon.
They wrote my notes. So yeah, there's Chuck fired poor Ernie.
Come on, man. Like this, we've talked about it, Dragon. But since season 2, I had a bad feeling about the way that Chuck was going to treat Ernie from an employer to an employee relationship wise. Like, this is straight up like abuse right here, I think.
So here's the thing.
I mean, obviously not physical abuse, but I don't know, it just gets under my skin.
Well, here's what I wrote is I wrote Chuck fired, and I wrote in like parentheses self-righteous prick underlined.
Exactly.
Again, he is a self-righteous prick now. I really hope. I'm just gonna say this. I really hope when Ernie said he was fired, I hope he didn't mean he was fired from HHM. Period. I hope he meant he was just fired from being Chuck's assistant, because otherwise that'd be a really underhand. Because that boy only wanted to work in the mailroom. All he wanted was a job in the mailroom, Chuck.
Well, I have some theories about Ernesto, but let's.
I hope Ernesto is going to be okay at the end of all this. I truly.
Well, let's save the Ernesto stuff for speculation.
All right. So he feels
I've got some big spec for Ernesto.
All right. So the reason Ernie's here, aside from just sharing his problems with him, is sharing his guilt. He feels guilty for what happened to Jim, and of course, Kim had no idea about this, so she's finding this out for the first time.
Right. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear a lot of movement.
Yeah, sorry, I was just untangling a cord from a microphone. Sorry.
Anyway, so Jimmy is in he's in the orange. We see him in the orange jumpsuit in between two big guys.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like the
famous promo trailer shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. So Jimmy is. I want to say it's a preliminary hearing, and it's kind of like they kind of decide if it's not. It's like a bail hearing essentially. We saw this on Bates Motel in the second penultimate episode, where he's like they're deciding like if he needs like to be held on bail, like if they should go to trial. It's basically assessing what's looking like for trial. It's like they're not. It's not like directly saying if it's going to go to trial now. It's like kind of taking it all in and just kind of weighing like announcing what the charges are. It's basically saying, okay, here are your charges. And it's the plea entry. It's what it is. It's simply. How to put it? So he's before Judge Lindsay Arch, if I'm saying that right. Or Arch, ARCH. So Arch. So the point is, Jimmy's. Yeah. So I love the surprise on the judge. I think the judge is really nicely played.
Yes, again, Dragon with the pleasantries. So many pleasantries going on between Jimmy and the judge here, I think.
So he is. She's surprised that it's Jimmy, and I love how civil and professional she is. Again, she's still to the point and following the rule book at the same time. She's civil with Jimmy. Jimmy's not a troublemaker, and I love the idea. We're going to hit upon this a little later on. I love the idea that everyone loves Jimmy. But we'll put a pin in that. So basically, he's charged. Here's his charges. He is charged. I'm going to listen out here. So Jimmy is specifically charged with felony breaking and entering, 18 months. Breaking and entering. This would be, and the penalty would be 18 months. A maximum penalty, 18 months and $5,000. Misdemeanor assault, and that would be, I want to say, $500 and 6 months. And then damage to property that includes like kind of the drawer and the tape itself, which would be a maximum sentence of 6 months and $500. So on the whole, basically what Jimmy's facing is 3.5 years and $6,000. That's the maximum what Jimmy's kind of facing with all this, and of course the stuff we're going to hit upon later on, like what the implications of his charges would be. Sure. So as this is going on, Kim enters not as the not guilty plea is being entered by Jimmy. Kim wants to represent Jimmy, and she shows up and saying, "Oh yes, I'm here to represent him." And then there's a little bit of a discrepancy because Jimmy does not want Kim to represent him. And we have this. I love this funny little, just kind of this factoid of like Kim wants to mow along with her client, and then she's, well, is he your client or isn't he?
And it's like. And she eventually settles on, Mr. McGill, would you like a moment to discuss this with your potential counsel? Is what she lands on.
Yep. Then she is. Jimmy kind of says no. We're all set here, Your Honor. Again, I love this moment there. This is like a realistic thing you never see on the big shows. You never see this sort of thing.
Right.
It's kind of love the detail here, and they've always been dead set on like not doing like any trial, any courtroom scenes, like any like kind of classic TV courtroom scenes,
like procedural type stuff.
Yeah, like again, no Law and Order similarities here, folks. It's because again, smartly they've done that because they know it's been seen like a billion times. They know that like everyone kind of has an expectation with that.
Sure.
So basically, as Jimmy's getting into a brief explanation, says, "Look, I know what happened," and then the stenographer is like kind of leaning in real close because she can't hear. And by law, she has to take all of that down. And then, of course, the judge's like, "I'm sorry." She's basically kind of stopping him and pretty much saying, "Okay, well, look, you can't sell this outside, guys. You can't sell this here." Because Jimmy, of course, he's involved in elder law and he's generally beloved. He has like no flight risk on this guy. $2,500 bail. Importantly,
I just love how impressed the judge is with the elder law. Like she finds that very
noble pursuit. It's a noble pursuit. And here's the thing I really appreciate. She says, "And I hope pursuit. I hope you can get back to." So.
Totally.
Really nice. The idea here is like I love how all the lawyers and judges are pulling for Jimmy.
It's kind of like the that funny make believe scenario we had. Like, we're pulling for you, Norman. Oh, God.
I knew you were. After I wrote that down, it's like, maybe I should change this now. He wouldn't possibly. He says, "No, yep, I was wrong." So Jimmy arrives at via cab. He has to take a cab. Anticipating a battle, Jimmy's all hyped up. He goes in there, he fires into a heartfelt apology. And I gotta tell you, again, this scene kind of boils down to why I love, why this is like one of the best relationships ever on television. He just fires into this genuine.
Go ahead.
It fires into one very genuinely, really well thought out and read rationale for everything. He explains what's going on, how Chuck screwed him over. And apparently, we saw a censored version on television. Apparently, there was an F-bomb here. How Chuck F'd him over. So that's what I heard. I heard that somewhere. So we'll see on the DVD if that checks out. So it was. I thought, hey, it's really touching how Jimmy essentially was saying this. he wants to try to take on the this personal battle with Chuck alone, so Kim won't endanger the Mesa Verde. Thinks all her focus needs to go to that. Doesn't want to risk her getting like kind of caught in the crossfire or anything, or he doesn't want to risk Wexler McGill, which I gotta tell you, I thought was really sweet. Oh, it's really sweet.
Yeah, like he just mentions like everything that they've been building up, and Chuck's just like he's just wanting to tear it all down, and that's essentially that's what's been going on since season 2. Like that's kind of what led us to the situation to begin with. Dragon is the fact that Chuck just could not let Mesa Verde go. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of pettiness on Chuck's end that led us into this mess. So,
and my favorite line of Jimmy's in this apology, I really just love how this thing's written. My favorite line is like, and delivered too. I know you want to help because you're wonderful.
Sure.
Like, so I need one line to sum up Kim Wexler. That'd be it. I know you want to help because you're wonderful.
And Dragon, let's just emphasize this. We have to emphasize this at least once per Better Call Saul podcast. But if Walter White got himself into some like minor legal trouble with a sibling or something, Skyler would essentially be like, "You're dead to me, Walt. You're dead to me until you have this figured out, because I'm not going to support you through anything, because that's not what a wife does, right? No, I'm just going to give you the cold shoulder because you got our family into a difficult situation." And Kim is like anti-Skyler, Dragon. That seriously.
Yep. So then, again, this is so wonderfully acted by Ray Seahorn. Such a subtle thing. I don't know if you caught it or not. Her response, of course, is the one note, very, just she takes it all, and we're expecting, okay, again, we're going into the scene. Jimmy's going into the scene, expecting her to have like a whole retort and everything. Her like kind of wearing Jimmy down, saying, "No,
we basically like Jimmy's expecting the Skyler White answer." You know what I mean?
A helpful Skyler White answer. Those are saying she wants to help and she should help.
Fair enough.
But the point is, just kind of boils down to her just kind of catching Jimmy and us off guard by saying, very straightforward, okay. And the way she delivers okay is a very choked back okay. Like she wants to get into that emotional thing, like, please, Jimmy, let me help you, but she's just choking it back to say, okay.
Sure.
Again, just perfect writing for relationships, I thought. And this to me is like how you write a relationship, like the whole, like they're very out front with each other, not holding any grudges. But again, you still have that subtlety of like, okay, they're not feeling.
I mean, Vince Gilligan, like he has to know, right? Like he has to know that Skyler was probably the least liked thing about Breaking Bad.
He knows that I've heard what he said on this sort of thing. He says he knows that Skyler's not popular, but he will defend her, though. That's kind of where he's at.
And I'll defend her, too. You and I will both defend her, like, especially season 4 and 5 Skyler, I think.
I'll defend her I'll defend her season 1 and the end of season 5. I'll say that she's fine there. And then the rest of it's, that's more like, I get where she's coming from. And then, like,
I like her in season 4.
Yeah, anyway. I like the car wash stuff with her.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
The car wash stuff there's all good. So, I mean, there's that. So give her that.
But what I'm saying, though, is like, obviously Vince knows that Skyler's not a popular character. He'll defend her, yes, but I think it's very clear he went out of his way to make Kim, like, like a better version of the Skyler archetype.
Yeah, honestly, it's like the two things Gilligan really, from what I've heard, the only two things he needs to defend is Skyler, and it's also kind of he defends Chuck when people kind of lay on the hate, because he just wants to express that. He's expressing the season 1 perspective. I already went through it. You know what I mean? The whole.
And then there's the Walter Jr. breakfast thing, but that became a joke. That became a joke in the series itself. So
nothing wrong with that. Everyone likes breakfast. So,
like I'm saying, at least they were self-aware about that.
Yeah. Anyway, so Francesca. Jimmy's after Jimmy and Kim kind of settled their things. Jimmy goes outside and he's runs into Francesca, and Francesca says she touched up the edges of the Wexler McGill logo, which is nice. Jimmy tells her,
it does not look like a stock market crash.
I tell you, if only we could have like a way of just kind of like having these Kim Wexler just kind of like comforting, like what the hell? Like it's kind of like it's like how women in labor have like those sounds that put them at ease. If only we had like some sort of like kind of reassuring kind of Wexler.
You made a really good commercial, Jimmy.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? The better example. Forget the pregnancy thing. The better example is like those self-help tapes people have.
Yeah, yeah.
And again, it'd be a tape. So what if they marketed self-help Wexler kind of positivisms?
Okay, okay.
Anyway, so again, like, you made a really good commercial. Like, it's like the positive affirmations. It's like the positive self-affirmations on tape, and just you made a really good commercial. And then you'd have the other one's like, no, Jimmy, it doesn't look like stock. No, it doesn't look like a stock market.
Yeah, those two are like the big ones. Yeah. Anyways.
And of course, the ending of this episode, which we'll get to, we're not yet. Anyway, so let's see. Jimmy asks if Francesca. I love this. Jimmy assures Francesca it's not always like this, which again, given the grand cosmic joke of Better Call Saul, is really funny.
Oh yeah.
The point where she's going to be
probably going to be worse than this on any given week in the Better Call Saul time in the Breaking.
Well,
Bad
we know eventually it's going to get to a point where she's going to be like, in the midst of all this chaos, she's gonna try to profit off of it, like by $2,500
right. No legitimate business would ever charge that much.
Okay. Always got that right. Walt's got that one right. So, so then Jimmy asks if she can drive him back to his car, which again, I love how pitiful he asked for that, and of course how she is about. Oh yeah, sure. So then we meet an old favorite from, a beloved character.
Well, I wouldn't call him a favorite, but...
Yeah, I know. I self-corrected. Where's my Wexler affirmation?
But one thing I remember about this guy is that he was a jerk in the cold open for, the crawl space episode. He ignores Mike for Gus. He's like, oh, Gus pays my salary. That's the one thing I remember this... Yes, I'm sure it's that guy. Yes.
You're sure? No, I know it's the guy. I'm talking about. Are you sure it was Crawl Space?
Yeah, I'm sure it was Crawl Space. Yeah.
Yeah. So this character, he's Dr. Barry Goodman, which I wonder if there's just coincidence or if there's any. Seriously, I never knew the guy's name. I knew the actor. I know the actor is J.B. Blanc. J.B. Blanc, of course, who was Fring's doctor in Breaking Bad. That's who this character is. But also J.B. Blanc. Done a lot of voice work. The thing I know him best for, I think, is he voiced Bane in Arkham Origins.
Okay.
Yeah, does like he's played kind of a South American and Hispanic characters, but he's an Englishman. He's a British actor.
Yeah.
And what's also kind of funny is that with Vince Gilligan, you're gonna appreciate this. Vince Gilligan is kind of joked about. He reminds him of Sala from.
Yes, I can see it.
I was saying, if they ever need to, reboot Indiana Jones, let's go J.B. Blanc as Sala. Anyway, so we meet Dr. Barry Goodman again. Again, Goodman. Whether that's going to be a plot point or just coincidence, we'll see.
Yeah.
We meet Goodman. He's in a clinic. I presume on the outskirts of Albuquerque. We don't know quite where this is. We don't know if it's deep in Mexico or not. It could be in El Paso. We know it's on the outskirts of Albuquerque, wherever it is. He's treating a young boy in a clinic. Checks him out. Nothing serious. Strep throat. Nothing. He gives him this really cutesy. Oh, God, this is where he fought. Hey, this guy was always kind of cool. Like he had Jesse's blood on file too.
Oh, right.
This guy's always been like a kind of a neat little fixture of Fring's, kind of like, oh man, Fring could have a spinoff too with all these interesting guys he's met.
He could. You're right.
but yeah, the lollipop bit was really cute. I just says, he says, if we ask your mother nicely, she'll let you have a lollipop, and it's so cute, so nice. That is a pleasantry for you. Gives the kid a lollipop. Really nice. Then there's receptionists kind of listening through like what the other kind of injuries in the doctor are, which includes like a sinus infection, a sprained ankle, and then I ask about the gringo, which of course is Mike. And then we have the revenge. And the revenge, for those, again, initially you're probably wondering, like, what is that? Like, did Mike put like a nickname down? The revenge? What are you thinking there? But no. It's actually it's like
the Revenge Airman Trout. That's my nickname, BlueDragonFive.
It reminds me of the Better Call Saul comic where he has like a Punisher kind of alias where he's the Philadelphia.
Yeah, that's right. Oh my God!
But you can still watch. You can still, if anyone wants to read those, all of those are still on the AMC website. If you ever want to read,
I should check them out.
Anyway, so So the revenge actually, it's a fun gag. Basically, it's supposed to be Montezuma's revenge, but they call it the revenge in case there are any other variations on which there are. There are variations on like names for Montezuma's revenge, and of course, Montezuma's revenge feeds into the Albuquerque versus famous bathroom humor.
Right.
Love their bathroom humor, and especially with Saul Goodman.
And Montezuma's Revenge is also a very fun coaster at Knott's Berry Farm. Yeah! I'm sorry. I had to sneak that in there.
Wait, hold on. Didn't even ride Montezuma's Revenge?
Yes.
You're putting me on.
No, I'm not. I swear to God, I am not. There is a ride called Montezuma's Revenge at Knott's Berry Farm.
I don't believe you. I
can screen share it, man. I can fucking screen share it.
All right. I'll take your word for it.
I swear to I would not make something up like this.
It sounds a little made up, but I'll take your word for it.
Look it up. Look
all right.
Montezuma's Revenge, Knott's Berry Farm. I'm not making it up.
Okay. Anyway, so so let's say, of course, I was pointing out on the Insider podcast, just want to point this out, that the medical doctors in the Albuquerque verse seem to be the gateway into the criminal underground, which is really funny.
Yeah, the vet, right.
Yep. Okay, anyway, so Mike he comes in, and basically the reason he's there is that he needs a package of meth.
No, it's not.
And
are you sure it's meth?
No, I'm sure it's meth. What I told you before, I was wrong. It's meth.
I thought it was coke.
That's what I was trying not to say it, but yes, it's meth.
Okay, it looks like coke. It does not look like meth.
It is being confirmed to be meth.
All right, I believe you, but that's weird. It's not crystal meth.
Well, fine, but it's still meth.
Okay, I'm just saying it's not crystal.
Hey, you want to take it over Vince Gill, by all means.
All right, so just really quick, I love the detail of Mike not.
It wasn't meth. It was cocaine. You idiot!
Okay.
Cocaine.
All right, really quick. I like the detail of Mike, like, he's kind of clueless about the drug industry, so he doesn't know what a gram is. He's like, like the doctor's like, I need something this big, and it's like, what is that in grams? It's this big. That's how much I need. I'm like, yeah, I can kind of relate to that. I mean, in the weed front, not the meth front, but yeah. When I started out as a stoner, I didn't really know what grams were either. Anyways.
Yeah, about yay big. About yay big. So then we see Mike kind of walking out of there. So they worked out some sort of amount, and then he walks out of there with with meth and like a prescription bag.
Right.
Sitting in with his rifle, and of course, I love the visual clues we're getting here. Okay, so Mike, he has his sniper rifle, and he's got a bag of meth. What's he gonna do with it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's see. We get Bob, right? That's his name, Bob.
Bill.
Oh my god, I'm terrible.
A few scenes ago, went over this. A few scenes ago. Anyway,
so Bill is having like the healthiest, most well-rounded lunch ever, Dragon.
I want to point this out. This is in reference again. These are references to the episode from season 1, the second one, where we start off with they mirrored the coffee shop. Remember the inside the coffee machine when the coffee's pouring down and all the snack food throughout the day this guy's eating.
Right.
Reference to that. Right. So basically, he's kind of doing what he usually does. Kind of eating
look, I'm a chips guy myself. Okay, I like myself some chips. I'm not just gonna
Michael Pena or your Dak Shepard.
I'm not just gonna take 2 bags of chips to my job and call it lunch, Dragon. All right, I've got more dignity than that. I'm gonna make myself a damn sandwich to go with those chips.
Well, he didn't bring it. He got it from there. He got it in the vending machine.
Okay, but still, it's 2 bags of chips. It's like you're gonna die if you eat that many chips. Anyways, I'm saying for lunch consistently every day, not just you're gonna die if you consume 2 bags.
I don't know if it's that. I'm just saying it's like when you're short on time at a trial or something. Like before you go into a hearing, you want food.
All right. Anyways.
I didn't know we were going to scrutinize Bill Oakley's diet. I would have come prepared if we were. So.
Oh, I'm scrutinizing it, Bill.
Anyway, so Bill is then greeted by Jimmy with a burger and fries. Kind Basically, it seems to be a minor slip in Jimmy tactic. He's trying to pull like, a little bit of a slip in Jimmy on.
I can see that. Yeah, yeah.
He knows what this guy eats on a regular basis, and he knows like, okay, I can bring him burger and fries, and maybe I can finesse him a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I love how we get, like, Bill just like he just starts mooching on the fries without even asking.
Yep. He was asking about the big guys, and Jimmy reveals the big guys were former clients.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. So he tried basically what Jimmy tries to do in the scene.
Is it just me? Like I would like a scene of that, of like, you know, like Jimmy reuniting with a former client in jail. Like that seems like a fun scene.
I wouldn't be surprised if they call that back, or if it's on deleted somewhere. I would expect they've shot something with that, or are going to pay that off. Like we might see one of those guys later, so keep an eye out for one of those guys.
Or maybe if Jimmy does go to jail, a former client of his will be his protection in jail. Maybe something like that.
That's a neat idea. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. So basically, what Jimmy's doing in this scene is he's basically trying to get some information. Bill is also kind of our Mr. Exposition legally.
Of course.
Let's see. He's trying to get information, also trying to get a plea deal going. He's trying to kind of motivate a plea deal with Bill here. Bill wishes him well, but he everyone. I love this idea because everyone in law likes Jimmy. Again, I just love the idea that Jimmy is that beloved in the lawyer community that they have to go outside Albuquerque to find someone.
Right.
You know, like he's just,
and of course, and I could see that. Like, I don't know. Do you think that would get under Chuck's skin, or do you think Chuck would be like? Do you think Chuck would insist on that?
Well, I think it's both, too. I think, like, yeah, it kind of gets under his skin. We don't really spend time with that, but I'm sure, like, in the scene we're not seeing, it's probably, like, running through his mind. But, yeah. Okay. Well, remember, we know Chuck, a big button with Chuck is the fact that Jimmy's likable. He really hates that Jimmy's likable, so it wouldn't surprise me. And, of course, the irony is that, you know, while the scourge of the lawyer community, when he's Saul Goodman.
Of course.
And, you know, because he's kind of like the cheesy billboard lawyer who just kind of gives lawyers a bad name, but the judges still like him.
Right.
We know the judges in Breaking Bad like Saul Goodman, so maybe, I don't know, maybe that's still kind of carried over. They still have some respect for Jimmy. I don't know. We'll see.
Sure.
So, essentially, so again, it's like an old idea. He's just so darn likable. They have to go outside. Albuquerque to find someone. So basically, he's being warned about that by Bill Oakley. He is. We see then basically as he's informed that Oakley won't be overseeing the case, which means he's trying to basically get like a really good plea deal going. If Oakley would oversee the case, or someone Oakley knew would oversee the case, and kind of strike a good kind of plea. Basically, he could accept some responsibility, but at the same time not take all the jail time. Essentially,
I'm like Monty Hall. I'm ready to make a deal.
Trying the Monty Hall plea and did not go through. Then we have a sad defeated Jimmy, but the nice guy that he is, he gives Oakley his burger.
Mm-hmm.
Which is nice, that just shows you can like the plan failed, but take the burger anyway.
Right. And of course, also, Bill mentions that the new lawyer is named Hay, and he heard that she's tough but fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so Mike,
all right. So this is a very realistic scene, right? Like he's got this super elaborate plan cooked up in his head. He's probably super proud of it. He takes two shoes, ties the shoelaces together.
Two red Converse.
Yeah. Puts a bag of meth, puts the meth in one of the shoes. And he's like, all right, this is it. This is my proud moment. I'm going to do this. And then he fails twice.
Very realistically. I mean, he's got
it humanizes Mike. It totally does, yeah.
Throw these shoes all the way up there.
Right.
He has to jump a little when he throws it, but he's not going to jump. In real life, Jonathan Banks has bad knees, so he really can't do something like that. That's why you'll never see Mike jump.
Sure.
Seriously, you'll never see Mike jump.
I believe you.
But, nothing against the great man. I just want to point that out in case anyone's ever looking like, well, yeah, we never have seen Mike jump, and that's why.
So it takes him three tries, but third time's a charm. He gets it right. He gets the shoes up there.
Mm-hmm. And again, just the minute we see
Okay.
these shoes brought, then we're putting it together like, oh, those shoes are gonna be on the line from the cold open. Again, the mysteries unfold.
Sure.
So let's see. Meanwhile, we meet Kyra Hay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Let's see. So Chuck, Chuck asks her to ground herself, take out anything with the battery as she goes inside. I don't know.
She follows up on the charges with Chuck. She's basically here's where they go through. They go through these little factors for the case. She wants to reaffirm a few things, and these are details we're going to need to. When we get into speculation, these are details that might become important if we go to trial in the future episodes. So she goes through this. That Chuck mentions that he changed the locks, but Jimmy had a key. Jimmy had a key beforehand, but Chuck makes it clear that he changed the locks.
Sure.
Did not strike Chuck, but again, this is something to remember with this case. They're really pushing for assault, even though, and as Jimmy points out later on, he did not lay a finger on Chuck, as we, the audience, saw. So no.
And Chuck's trying to make the excuse like, "Oh, he backed me into a corner." It's like, "Oh, poor Chuck, poor Chuck."
Now, to be fair, though, Chuck is. I think Chuck's just in my view of it, Tiki, I think the assault thing is just insurance to make sure Jimmy goes down. And Chuck's not really,
I definitely think so, which is why it pisses me off.
Well, look, to Chuck's defense, he is saying that the assault really didn't happen, so Chuck's a little self-defeating with that, but he is making clear that Jimmy's not a violent guy. He's trying to take up for his brother.
Yeah, you're right, sure.
My brother's a lot of bad things, but he's not violent. Let's see, so then she's asking about Chuck's willingness to appear as a witness, which he agrees upon. Of course, there are some conditions that will need to be met for him, which I think is going to backfire in the long run, which we'll get to in speculation.
Okay.
Basically saying, if I were to come in and take the stand or anything, Chuck's condition would have a few requirements that would not inconvenience the trial too much, he says.
Sure.
So, let's see. So, willingness to appear in court. Chuck asked about her strategy. What's her strategy, prosecuting her brother? So, and then I love this, and this shows you that she and Chuck are cut from the same cloth somewhat, because she mentions we're as an officer of the court, as officers of the court, which is Chuck's favorite phrase. He loves toting the officers of the court.
Paraphrases anything. She basically paraphrases this whole philosophy here.
Yes. As officers of the court, I'm not going easy on your brother. Those are the two words made.
We have a legal obligation to uphold the law, and Chuck is just I'm listening.
Yep.
He's basically like the evil cockroach in Family Guy. He's like, good.
There's an obscure reference from the days when Family Guy used to be good.
I still think that's one of the best Family Guy jokes. That's right up there with the cool side of the pillow for me.
I don't know if that's. I don't think that tops cool side of the pillow.
It doesn't top cool side of the pillow, but I'd say it's up there with cool side of the pillow.
Yes, good. Yeah, you know what good is really fun. I'll give you that much.
Well,
anyway,
the thing about good is that you can apply good.
Track.
You can apply it to a lot of situations. All right, that's all I was gonna say. It's a very quotable line. Anyways.
Okay. So Chuck, he mentions that he is not defending Jimmy's actions. He's making clear that he still loves his brother.
Mm-hmm.
So he suggests a better solution, a quote unquote better solution. So you got to wonder, okay, so is he playing this in the whole time, or was the encounter from earlier on weighing in this alternative strategy? Because either way, kind of had him. Well, yeah, it's probably the whole plan all along. I'm thinking of it as probably the plan the whole time. Anyway, point is, he has him over a barrel either way. So we'll get back. We'll circle back to that. So we have the shoe sequence. Take us through the shoe sequence.
Okay, I mean it's a classic very very long meticulous Mike scene. Where Mike is just very slowly tracking the truck that we saw the same sort of design of the truck. It's the
this is the Regato Helado truck from season 2.
Yeah.
Hector Salamanca has it's the ice cream shop they operate from. It's an ice cream shop.
Right. Of course. So now, Dragon. I'm not quite sure what to make of the gunshots. I wonder if you could elaborate on it.
Yes, I can elaborate. Here's what's happening.
I have a guess on it, but go ahead.
Well, here's what's happening. So in this scene, basically we're misdirecting the audience a little bit. Again, it's kind of the mystery unfolding. So now we put all our places, all the pieces have been moved. Now we're seeing all kind of in a Rube Goldbergian style kind of come together. So Mike. So Mike has he knows where the two drivers are going to stop. Make the gun drop as we saw the Regatta Halata driver do last season. In that elaborate kind of the never-ending, the 8-minute sequence of
Oh
the
my
8-minute
God.
opening, which was impressive. That was an impressive opening.
It was impressive, but it was also kind of
It
like
was a wonder. It was like 8 minutes of one shot.
it's a little bit like, yeah, it's technically impressive, but it's not the most thrilling thing to watch.
I know. Anyway, so the point is, like, basically, I love that we are educated a little bit with that sequence going into this episode. So,
Sure.
basically, these guys, they're dropping off their guns, I guess, because they're about to go to the checkpoint, which we saw that guy go to. So the idea is, like, they're going to hit another spot afterwards and pick up new guns. But the point is, they're dropping off guns here.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike knows what this is. So he's firing into the air for a very specific reason. He's firing into the air with his rifle, and you're wondering, whoa. He's like, okay, is Mike just going to take these two guys out or what?
Right.
Of course, we know Mike is really not for the lethal option at this point yet.
Can I take a guess at what Mike's doing before you tell me what he's doing?
Sure.
Okay, my guess is that Mike is using the gunshots to essentially mask what he's eventually going to do. Like, he's going to put something else on their mind other than, the meth dropping on the car. Am I even close?
You are close. You are very close,
okay.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Basically what he's doing here is he's firing into the air so they write off the important gunshot as hunters.
Right, okay, yeah. So they like I said, he basically like masks the important gunshot for sure. Okay.
Yeah, so basically if he didn't do that, then there's like one gunshot, they're gonna stop, they're gonna search the thing, they might find, the meth pouring out of the shoe above them, maybe some meth on the thing. So basically it would have given everything away had they not kind of masked it.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much that is. Yes. So basically, truck. He then waits for him to be right under the shoes, and he kind of shoots it at the right exact moment. So it's on the back, kind of the back bumper of the truck.
Right.
So again, just excellent little shot there. Just him, shooting that shoe full of meth. A shoe full of meth. It's like a fistful of dollars, only we're Albuquerque, yes. Shoots at the right moment, sprinkles on the back of the truck, and importantly, and I love that and I'm so impressed with them from a writing standpoint, because they had to come up with a way, and I love that they elaborate on it. So they come up with a way because Mike can't pull off the same sort of truck heist. He can't, because the last time he did that, a Good Samaritan got killed.
Of course.
Which he wants to avoid. He doesn't want any innocent people getting killed. So what he does here is a way of them doing themselves in without any innocent people getting in the way. And it's a clever, new, inventive way of doing it, too. So it's really all really inventive stuff here. So then we mirror that amazing wonder a little bit here, because basically we mirror the part where they're pulling up, the shot where they're pulling up, and of course we saw it before. Okay, get checked, don't find anything, they move on them right away. However, we got our drug sniffing dogs, and they detect something, which means Hector's guys are boned, and they are arrested.
Yep.
Yep, which cripples Salamanca's operations even further, because as we know, the importance isn't any drugs that are being shipped, it's the money in the tires. It means this truck is not going anywhere, which means they're going to find the money probably.
Right,
which means, again, money.
Sure.
This money, anytime these trucks do not go to Hector Salamanca, it means his money flow is stopped.
Okay, so we get a classic Jimmy and Kim smoking against a wall scene.
Oh, I think this is if this is the last scene.
Yeah, this is the last scene. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I love this scene. So yeah, right. You're right. We do the kind of classic Jimmy smoking Kim smoking outside. Usually, now we pull reverse on Jimmy smoking outside that one lone cigarette from the old box.
right.
Homaging the HHM day, she comes out to meet him.
Mm-hmm.
It's so nice. Now they have their own building to do that outside of.
Totally.
So Kim joins them. He points out these cigarettes from when all the doors matched. That long ago, which is funny, and the esteem card never gets old. He mentions that he got a deal offer, and then of course there's a great way of kind of doing this without making it sound expository in the writing here. Basically, we're informed of something through Kim's perspective of it versus hey, do you know what this is? Well, this is
right.
It's called a PP. Basically, what I'm about to do right now for the kiddies out there. So it's called a PPD.
You're about to do the less engaging version of it.
Yes. So, we're not paid writers, folks.
Oh God.
So it's seriously, basically what we kind of have exposited, but through dialogue instead of exposition is the PPD agreement, which is the uh, prosecution diversion.
Yeah, it's diversion. Yeah.
Pre-prosecution diversion, if I'm getting that right. Basically, what this is that Jimmy basically needs to. He will admit that yes, he'll take the rap for it. He'll get one of basically he'll take the rap for felony B&E, breaking and entering, and the misdemeanors, including assault. But basically, it's kind of like a not parole. It's I think I guess it's. Yeah, yes, it's basically kind of like a parole. It's kind of like a parole thing. Basically, if he doesn't stir up any trouble.
Right.
Basically, the PPD means Jimmy needs to avoid trouble and slipping Jimmy for a year, and they'll be watching for him. But if he gets through a year without that, then he'll be in the clear as long as he takes the blame for all the crimes, including the felony and the one felony along with misdemeanors. Importantly, felony keyword. So this is all good news. Again, it's like, hey, Jimmy got off scot-free. Essentially, he got off scot-free just as long as he doesn't get any more trouble. It's a literal
get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yes. And again, Kim's like, oh, well, Jimmy, this is great news. Why are you so down in the dumps? And then he reveals,
I love how he doesn't even need to reveal Chuck's plan. All he needs to say is that was Chuck's idea, and Kim's like, oh.
Because you got to remember, Jimmy is considering this. He is considering that. Well, I mean, yeah, it is kind of a get-out-of-jail-free card. And you got to remember, Jimmy's always somewhat kind of, he can, at this point in Better Call Saul, he's always kind of like on the I can get a lawyering card.
Right.
It's always an option for him at this point. He's not that far deep into it now. The only difference is now that he has to run it by Kim, though. That's the main thing he has invested in. If he was just on his own, he would might take this deal.
Sure.
So again, basically what they put together in the scene is that, okay, a lawyer with a felony is instant disbarment.
Mm-hmm.
Because the way the PPD works is all that get out of jail free stuff goes through, but on the condition that this confession that Jimmy's given, confessing to a felony, is instantly submitted to the Albuquerque Bar Association, which means instant disbarment. So again, Chuck, basically it's kind of, I like to call it, it's kind of Chuck's cyanide or arsenic choice for Jimmy. It's like, okay, prison or disbarment. Prison, disbarment, which also ruins your name.
Of course.
So Jimmy weighs his options. He genuinely is weighing his options, because if he goes to trial, and the worst case scenario, he goes to trial and he loses, which would lead to jail and the bar association. Kind of. He have to deal with jail and the bar. So either way, basically, if he goes to trial and he loses everything, including the bar.
Right.
And even if they point out, even if Jimmy pleads like extenuating circumstance with the whole the rivalry between brothers and everything, Chuck has the bar in his pocket essentially. He made half the bar's careers.
Yeah, which really pisses me off, Dragon. That really, it's basically just like Chuck and his cronies just coming after Jimmy, as Jimmy says,
Yeah. And then here we go. Oh boy, here's a sweet moment. Oh boy. So Kim won't let Jimmy go it alone as he wanted to earlier on, which shouldn't be a problem. I think it's just like you can say, oh, now she's representing me. So again, no, there shouldn't be any legal red tape, just for the record going forward. The point is, Kim says she won't let Jimmy go it alone because Jimmy absolutely needs her. Who doesn't need Kim Wexler? I mean, come on, she's wonderful. Again, she's wonderful. Jimmy does need her, and and then oh god, this bit's really nice when Jimmy says he asks why. I mean, like a moment of pause, but come on. This guy, seriously? Just emphasizing, you want to help this guy? Really? Well, you want to bank it all on this guy? Why? And then again, this is where the episode comes into the fray here, and it's like, oh, they saved it for just the right moment, I thought. We'll get into the thematic idea of the whole thing here, because it does connect to other characters. I want to say that for the end. So she reminds Jimmy the fallacy of sunk costs, the callback to the fallacy of sunk costs, which Jimmy brought up to her in the beginning of season 2, which, again, basically brought their romance to the forefront. So without the sunk cost things, what brought them together in the first place. It made them take the next step in the relationship. So again, the sunk cost is a really big connecting point for the two of them. Again, I love how this is shadowed perfectly. The hand holding. Oh god, I love the hand holding. It looks so beautiful. Just the two of them. It's like they make a heart. It's so beautiful.
Sure.
It's so triumphant and sweet, and the fallacy of sunk cost being thematically investing in something that is risky or draining because you're in too deep. Because you just, again, it's like a gambler getting in too deep. Like, well, I'm this far into it now, I can't give up. And that's essentially what she's saying about Jimmy. It's like, I'm invested in Jimmy far too much to give up now. Essentially is what she's saying. And if you look at the other characters are the reason this kind of connects thematically to a lot of stuff. Mike and Gus, they are in too deep with the Salamanca stuff. They're in too deep with their Salamanca revenge. The two of them can't go away, can't just like leave Salamanca where he lies and move forward. They both have a grudge against Salamanca, so they're working together. Chuck can't let his feud with Jimmy go, which of course is why he's in the Something Clause as well. And of course, Kim loves Jimmy so much, with she will support him she'll support him in court, potentially risking at potential risk to herself and of course Wexler McGill as a whole. And then she asks, and you take the last part.
Well, just really quick, Kim, of course, Skylar White, but and she just basically says, you're not alone, and I'm sorry, the other thing I have is the last line of the episode.
That's what I'm getting at. What's the last line?
Okay, yeah. So Jimmy's just like, we're gonna take that PPD and we're gonna shove it right up Chuck's ass.
Strong note there.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
and that's it. Yeah.
All right. Let's fire right into the promo, though.
Okay, promo. I only watched it once, Dragon. What do you have for it?
Okay, so we have here's what we visually see. We have a lot of episode titles to go through.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Okay, so the DEA is raiding Regado Halado, which means the DEA is right on Salamanca's tail, which is definitely going to heat a fire under his soon-to-be wheelchaired butt. We have Gus at a firehouse. Which I believe is like a charity function or something.
I would definitely guess that, yeah, for sure. Because actually, it'd be cool if we kind of like saw like the beginnings of Gus Fring getting involved in charity work.
I am really looking forward to. Like, here's the thing: a lot of people are like, "Hey, bring Hank in, bring Hank in." I want the boss. I want Hank's boss. I want to make sense story wise.
I can see that.
Seriously, remember Hank's boss was a friend of Gus Fring's, and the two of them knew each other. So
right? Yeah, exactly. They had that picture where they're shaking hands with each other, right?
Yeah,
yeah.
I really want to see that guy. I'm more excited for that guy than I would be for Hank, because Hank be like, "Oh yeah, we need to work in like
Hank
let's work in."
He would basically just be fan service at that point.
That's what I'm saying. The other guy has story potential.
Sure, sure.
So let's see. So again, I guess at the firehouse, bag of. Right. Mike's at work. There's a bag of money, and Mike's at work.
Mm-hmm.
Just that he's drilling stuff. Some points he's in the middle doing what Mike does best, kind of sneaky stuff.
Right.
Stacy is back and with a conflicted Mike in the scene. So again, Mike's conflicted about working with Fring most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Kim is telling Jimmy that they get away with something. We don't know what it is. Most likely a slipping Jimmy-esque stunt, to be my guess.
Right.
Let's see. Mike and Jimmy are together again.
God. Which I'm glad of because they need more screen time together.
Yeah. Let's see. We have Gus is giving a pep talk to the Pollos Hermanos staff.
Oh God. Okay.
Which, by the way, they had another to coincide with this week's episode. They had another public service. Those Pollos Hermanos, a training thing.
God.
Yeah, this one was about shipping. Oddly enough.
Okay, that makes sense with the trucks.
And they did all the truck stuff, and they had the animated cartoon about the trucks.
Oh God.
So yeah, watch that one. Next, I think is customer service. So we'll see how that one correlates. Okay, so then Nacho is in Pollos Hermanos. So that's a big deal.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I've been waiting to see Nacho again.
Yeah, there's a random shot of Hamlin.
Right.
There was a line said by Jimmy. No one should.
Not in this episode at all. I just realized that.
You're just now realizing we didn't make a T joke the whole time. How did you not realize that? Anyway, so there was no one should treat their own brother like that, as Jimmy is saying over a bunch of quick shots like they like to do at the end of these promos.
Of course.
We see. Let's see. Chuck is opening a door intimidatingly. I'm sorry, not Chuck. Here's the thing: we see Chuck, and then we have this really ominous shot here of Gus is opening a door very intimidatingly.
Ooh, yeah.
And we see it's a dark room, and there's a man with a sleeve. I'm just saying the fact that it's a dark room suggests, could it be Chuck in some weird nexus of the universe? Could it be?
Who knows?
I'm just saying, Fring's opening, a door to a dark room. We'll see a man with like kind of a suit sleeve. So I don't know.
So you're suggesting that Fring and Chuck are in cahoots with each other somehow?
No, I'd say I don't know what the thing. I'm just saying, why does no one turn lights on in the rooms? That's my real question.
Want it to be dark and ominous.
I know, it's the thing. It's like, okay, so I guess we'll get into the episode titles, which kind of bleeds us into speculation. So again, here's what do we know?
Okay, so episode 4 is
Sabrosito.
Sabrosito. Thank you.
And we have Chicanery.
Chicanery, off-brand.
I'm sorry, should we speculate as each title goes on, or we just want to list them all?
Let's list them all and then just do some general.
Okay, so Sabrosito's 4, Chicanery's 5, off-brand is 6.
Expenses is 7, and then I think 8, 9, and 10 are the ones that we didn't have.
Yep.
And I think 8, 9, and 10 are all really telling episodes.
Oh, yeah.
8 is Slip, of course.
Yeah.
9 is Fall, and 10 is Lantern.
Oh. Bingo!
Okay, let's break this all down. So, first of all...
Okay, Sabrosito.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was going to kind of list through a few things.
Go ahead.
Okay, Sabrosito, I'm thinking, in general, I'm thinking the Fring and the cartel is going to be the focus of next episode.
Yeah, because Fring only really had one scene this episode, so we really need to... they've been building him up to have a big episode. You know what I mean? They've been kind of slowly introducing him.
So I'm calling I think next episode is going to be, it's going to be Fring cartel centric, and on the side we're going to set up Jimmy's slipping Jimmy way out because of that conversation he has with Kim. So we're going to set up like a possible slipping Jimmy out, which Kim's not going to be for.
I can see that. Right. Chicanery.
Okay. Next, Chicanery, which let's not forget, folks. Chicanery is another word for trickster.
So that'll probably be a court episode with Jimmy, I'm guessing.
Possibly. We'll get into I have some court speculation, which we'll get to after this. But I think it's the crux of it will be Chuck versus Jimmy with craftiness. Craftiness will kind of play on both sides there. I think Hamlin's, if not this episode, then the next one. I think Hamlin's definitely going to get fed up with Chuck's BS. Speaking of which, so then I get to off-brand.
Off-brand, it's interesting. Like I could see that. I could see Gus looking for a better product.
Maybe.
I could also see off-brand essentially kind of setting up that Saul Goodman is the off-brand of Jimmy McGill.
Maybe.
And that's all I got for it. Just those two things.
Well, I'm thinking maybe it's going to be showing kind of like, again, remember, legal battles do kind of cost a lot of money. So I think it could be
Jimmy I think that's going to come more in episode 7. Expenses is kind of going to be the aftermath.
Well, I'm saying I think this might introduce the idea, like a very minor thing if they have to buy something. Well, actually, no. Let me tell you. So basically, I really like this theory I have here. You're going to love the second part of this. So I think, in general, I think it's going to start. We're going to start to see leading to expenses where Jimmy and Kim are going to be adapting to the kind of the cost of going up against Chuck, costing some of that. But I think this is kind of a crazy theory, but I would love it if this happened. Hamlin has to go off-brand because Chuck's legal battle is costing the firm a lot of money.
Right.
So he has to buy something off-brand that just kind of sets the last straw for Hamlin. It's like, he can't buy his
off-brand tea, Chuck. I have to buy off-brand tea. Do you know how humiliating that is?
No. But aside from the tea, though, what if they had to buy like an off-brand suit that wasn't Hamlin to go blue or something?
Right. Yeah.
You see what I mean? If he had to I'm just saying that's my crazy theory. I would love to happen. I'm just really hoping to get like a very small moment of Hamlin just like shopping and just or something, and that's just kind of why the episode's called.
I'd love that.
And it would set up like Hamlin going against Chuck going forward because of this minor thing. Because remember, Hamlin, the crux of Hamlin, he just wants to keep HHM, the money train, going. That's kind of the idea with Hamlin. He just wants to keep his cushy lifestyle going. So, Slip, of course, I think that's going to be the slipping Jimmy plan that we may see earlier on, just kind of like that. Basically, I think Jimmy's going to find an immediate solution with slipping Jimmy that's going to win the day in the moment, but we're going to set up that Chuck's about to have the upper hand because he slipped.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, Fall, that's a very ominous episode 9 penultimate title right there. Definitely going to be a low of low to some extent, I would imagine.
I'm going to throw this out there. I think fall is going to be, Chuck strikes back, Wexler McGill goes under, Jimmy's really ticked off at him, and he hashes things out with Chuck.
Mm-hmm. I can see
so
that.
Then Lantern. So Lantern, oh boy, I have some big wild theories about Lantern. Let's just say, thanks for deflating my balloon a little bit. Yeah, I'm gonna build a little to it, but yeah, sure, yeah, death of Chuck. Let me say how.
Okay.
So let me build to a little bit. So maybe thematically with Lantern, whether it goes to the lethal option or not. Let's say we always have double meanings with our titles. At least we try to. So Lantern could be like a light at the end for Kim. Like whatever happens with Jimmy and Chuck, Kim will be taken care of at the end. So I think she's gonna have a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, I don't
like a lantern.
Like, I don't understand these all these theories saying that Kim absolutely has to die, or even that.
Who's saying she has to die?
Basically, stupid people that are just like, oh, she's not in Breaking Bad.
Come on, no, Chuck may or may not die. Chuck most. I'm just saying Chuck with the illness has an aptitude.
I think Chuck most likely is going to be the character from Jimmy's role to die. Yeah.
So
Kim,
regardless,
I honestly wouldn't be shocked if Kim and Jimmy were still on good terms in the Breaking Bad timeline. I really wouldn't.
Sure. Well, regardless, what I'm anticipating is at the end, whatever happens, I think Kim's gonna have she won't be fully tanked along with Jimmy. I think she's gonna come out unscathed because of something Jimmy does, which means like a lantern sort of comparison there. But mainly,
right.
The lantern thing is gonna be there's gonna be one of two things. I think the lantern's gonna be just a symbol of Chuck's comeuppance of Jimmy or someone turns the lantern off,
that's
and that's
what
like,
I'm
hey,
thinking. Yeah.
Or the lethal option would be because of those lanterns, kind of the gas lanterns. Chuck blows up by the lantern.
Right.
Here's a wolf house blows up, and that's how we end the season.
Oh man. Okay. All right.
Again, we did it with season 2 of Breaking Bad. We just we built to kind of our big exciting climax, and just what if it's like lantern, of course. And at the very least, let me throw this at you. So with what Chuck's comeuppance, regardless, I think the lantern's going to be pivotal, whether it's going to kill Chuck or this option. What's going to be Chuck's comeuppance is probably going to be he's going to be committed because of the lantern.
Okay. If not dead.
Remember, he was if not dead by the lantern, he'll be committed by the lantern because remember that was the reason the cops entered his house, because the lanterns seemed to be a symbol of a danger to himself and others.
That's a good call. The lantern was kind of a concern. Yeah.
I can elaborate more on that. I guess now we're getting the general speculation. So let's say we do go to trial, because you got to remember, folks, if we go to trial, that's it wasn't carved in granite, but again, the outside of the show is that we're never going to see the inside of a courtroom because they don't like doing the by the numbers courtroom stuff.
Right.
The point is, I think if the trial is like a huge thing, like this is a huge stake in what transitions Jimmy to
I could honestly see the trial being like the main crux of the season, to tell you the truth.
Well, certainly, but again, we've established. The series Bible has kind of been they've kind of compared it to Jimmy is the kind of lawyer who will do anything on the outside of the courtroom stairs to make sure it doesn't go to trial.
Of course.
And while that's still good, and that's still kind of again it's a description, it's not by the numbers. We've never seen that event happen in the show, but we've seen something kind of similar to tonally similar to what that's saying. Mm-hmm. Regardless, what we could have is after such a traumatic trial afterwards, then Saul Goodman is absolutely the kind of guy who wants not to go to trial because he has such a lousy trial experience.
Right.
So the point is, a trial would be a huge deal. And here's what I'm just analyzing illegally what Jimmy has to fight against Chuck on here. So here's what I'm just kind of handicapped and what kind of Jimmy can work with going up against Chuck's charges. So I think, first and foremost, Chuck's BS is kind of, not his BS. I'm saying, of course, we do know he does actually suffer from some, Chuck's kind of, Chuck's requirements of the court is going to hurt his case during the trial.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. It's going to put a big stigma on him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so assuming it's a trial, I think that's going to definitely hurt it. And on Jimmy's side of things, what Jimmy has in his kind of his quiver to legally diffuse some of Chuck's arguments that he could bribe David, the private eye, and Kim swings Howard Hamlin to work with their efforts. Basically, they discredit both witnesses.
Yeah, I definitely think that Hamlin, at the very least. I'm not sure about David, but I definitely think Hamlin is going to be a big...
Well, I'm thinking David might be the big slipping Jimmy of it all, where he just thinks, well, I could bribe the guy.
Okay. Okay.
Like he did with Lance. He tries pulling
Of
another
course.
Lance. Maybe it
Right.
backfires in the end. Initially, it works, and think about this: how great a screw you that is to Chuck if you got both David and Hamlin to both like say, "Oh no, we didn't see anything," just
Oh
like what happened to
man.
Lance.
Oh, I
Seriously,
legitimately think that could kill Chuck. Like if we're gonna talk about Chuck dying, I legitimately think that if both Hamlin and David, like on the stand, just vehemently deny the witness thing, Chuck would
exactly.
just
Think about
die.
it. That would be pretty. It would be pretty impressive, wouldn't it?
Oh, God. Uh,
Okay, but regardless, I think they're going to get to the witnesses in some way. So I think that's going to be a
oh,
main thing
I
they're
mean,
going
I
to do.
definitely think Howard
Uh,
is going to flip sides by the end of the season for sure.
and I'm just saying in terms of the break, I think Kim's going to be the one to kind of swing Howard, and
Sure,
Jimmy's going to be
sure.
the one. If they go against the other guy, he's probably going to try to pull a Slim and Jimmy while Kim's being very straightforward with it.
Mhm.
So, of course, your theory I think could definitely be used in the trial. Using the temporary guardianship.
Right. Yeah. Totally. Totally.
I think the lanterns, again, the lantern thing kind of connecting to the proof of why Chuck could be a danger to himself and others, which means like that's why he burst in there because he knows he's a danger to others. They could look into hey, there was an incident that
Oh, I
happened in
like
season.
that. I like that. Okay.
There was
Right.
an incident
Right.
with police that happened in season 1 where he had all this stuff. It could have been a simple misunderstanding.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Again, so with ways they
I
could
like
spin it.
that. And of course,
I don't
breaking
know
and
how.
entering is the big charge that they need to fight against. So yeah,
Yeah, that's the
that's
felony
yeah,
charge.
for sure.
And we
Okay.
know there is no assault. The assaults, there's no evidence of assault, period. So the assault's an easy one to overturn. The only difference is like destruction of property, which is an easy one. He pays a fine on that one.
Right. Right.
Like to be fair, it is just that if you just I would imagine a judge would just kind of pass like, okay, well, you pay for the repairs to the desk and the tape, maybe
Mm-hmm.
less the tape, more the desk. Anyway, let's see. All right, so I don't know this one how much water this one holds, but firing Ernie without cause might help.
Could be. Let's transition to
I'm
Ernie
saying,
though.
yeah. What do you got on Ernie anyway?
Okay, so everyone knows that the big fan theory with Ernie is that he's Fring's son.
Oh, come on.
I honestly think that with him being fired from HHM, if they're going to go the route of him being Fring's son, this would be a good way to do it. To be like, okay, he's trying to make it on his own, and he's trying to make it on his own in a respectable job, and then it doesn't work out so well, so he gets tied back into his father's empire.
Hmm.
I'm saying I don't necessarily think there's anything to disprove the theory that Ernesto is Fring's son.
All I'm saying, if they do that, they've hit it really well. That they've had the kind of the Ernesto card. They've
Well, I
hit
don't
it very
necessarily
well.
think they hit it like all that well because I do think Ernesto is kind of like the splitting image of the young Fring in a lot of
Well,
ways.
what I mean, I mean they hit it well because in the marketing for this season, because they've said they've addressed that Fring most likely has kids, but they haven't shot anything with them. So I mean they've
Yeah, but I mean, look, it's like this season is very good about hiding stuff. I mean, look how well they hid the fact that Francesco is going to come into the picture.
Right.
So I don't know, Dragon. I'm not 100% sold on the idea. I'm just saying that Ernesto being fired from HHM does kind of tilt him in that direction. I mean, it could just be that, like, my whole thing is that if we built Ernesto up as a character, like through 2 seasons, what are we going to do with him after this? How is he still going to be a function in the story? And I think
he'll be employed by Wexler McGill maybe.
okay, that's a good theory. I could also see that happening, but like I said, I could also see it where it's almost like because in the Albuquerque verse, Dragon, of course, a big thing in the Albuquerque verse is that everyone is constantly breaking bad. So I
Yep.
definitely think there could be some potential for, like kind of almost like a Godfather type situation where he, where Ernesto tried to go into the respectable profession, but he failed, and then
Well,
he got sucked into his father's empire. Go ahead.
let me throw this at you. Minus the Gus Fring, I think you are onto something. I think
Okay.
you're onto this. What if Ernie, whether Wexler McGill is still standing or not, what if Ernie eventually goes with Jimmy as Saul Goodman, and he sees kind of what Jimmy's become, and that's just like another horrifying, like it's kind of a symbol of Kim without Kim there.
Right,
It's kind
right.
of a symbol, like just a friend, like the most innocent person in Jimmy's life, just kind of realizing, oh god, I'm so sleazy as Saul Goodman, I can't stand this.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Sure, sure.
But again, just being so heartbroken by his friend, his hero, Jimmy. Jimmy just.
No, yeah, absolutely. Because Ernie, we've established Ernie definitely has a level of respect for Jimmy for sure.
Like, what if this? What if the big moment in like maybe season 4 or something is like, hey, we send Ernie's working with Saul Goodman, and he is kind of like his number 2 guy, like, and he's there's a point he reaches
kind of
like maybe by the
A
end
team before the A team existed.
Maybe, and he realizes just by the end, like, oh my god, you become another Chuck, you're a hypocrite.
Sure.
I can't work for you, and that's kind of Ernie's big arc of like. So maybe we go that way with Ernie. Okay. 2 things. I think we'll be done.
Yeah.
So one other big charge I think Jimmy might have in his quiver in the trial is that again he could use the blackmail to his advantage because Chuck was blackmailing him.
That's true. That's very true. Yeah.
I don't know how he could spin that in court necessarily because again, it's like he was in there because he would blackmail.
Right.
Blackmail. He might be able to throw that at Chuck to maybe kind of discredit his character even further. I don't know. Okay, other thing, that's LBI bail bonds. Again, we have seeded that. I'm thinking, regardless, that's going to be a plot point, and that's going to be a plot point for. I theorize one of 2 ways. One, it could be just a for the slipping Jimmy plot point we're going to do. Maybe LBI bail bonds will be key in whatever slipping Jimmy plot he has cooked up this season. Or what we'll do regardless, maybe for that eventual reveal, like basically, I know regardless we're going to pay off. I hope we're going to pay off LBI bail bonds in some way. I'm saying like it's really in your face. So I think we're going to.
Gilligan, he's not just going to show something like that and not pay it off.
Exactly, but regardless, I'm saying maybe when we get to the episode, we could have a cold open that is a flashback of Jimmy working with LBI bail bonds. All I can think of is like, okay, we're in the days of like, Jimmy, he's like really young into the lawyering, working at HHM, in the mail. Basically, like, what if he just maybe less in the mail, like right after he got out of the mailroom, he'd be struck out as a lawyer on his own.
Right.
And that's when he's working with these guys, maybe. And that's again, this is like Jimmy like working in service of the ideal of his brother. Like, yeah, I'm gonna make Chuck proud by being a lawyer.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Right.
Then, of course, the end is like he's using LBI to go against his brother, and that'd be the crux of the episode. For the slip, maybe let's say all that happens in slip. Let's say all the LBI stuff pays off in slip. Okay, that's all the kind of theories and stuff.
Okay, shall we make a call?
Yes. Okay. So all the kids out there, little Saul Goodman decoder rings. Dial this 505 842 5325. Again, that's 505 842 5325. We're calling a secret mystery guest.
All right.
Take notes.
Hello, this is Day Spa Nail Business Albuquerque. This number is for Day Spa and Nail customers and future customers only. Leave a message or call back when we are open. Do not leave a message if you need a lawyer, unless you want spa and nail services first.
All right.
That's right, folks. Day and Spa Nail Salon.
Okay, so before we get to our final thoughts, Dragon, let's get a little nugget of wisdom from our Saul Goodman quote of the week, brought to you by the famous curly fries at Totally Not Jack in the Box, Totally Los Pollos Hermanos. Okay, let's see what we got. Today's Saul Goodman quote of the week is no deal, no dice, shot and missed, shit and hit, shit on and hit. All right.
Hey, kind of appropriate, no deal.
You're right.
Not taking the deal.
Okay, final thoughts, Dragon. Final thoughts. I'll go first if you don't mind. I definitely think season 3 as a whole is kind of like, in spite of Gus Fring being involved, it's a little slower paced than season 2 was at this point. But I do think that we're seeing this, sowing the seeds for some really explosive personal action here. And of course, as we get further along, Gus is going to be a bigger part of the equation. Like I said, I do like that they're sort of they're not just jumping in with Gus as a main character right off the bat. Much like Breaking Bad, they're kind of like testing the waters of Gus before they really start to give him a lot of screen time. So I do appreciate that, but some of the Mike scenes could be a little, could be trimmed down a bit. It's overall, it's a really good episode. I still think it's like I said, I still think season 2 was a little bit more exciting at this point. But it's, I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of it's a good episode. It's a fine episode. It's just not. It didn't really wow me. Like I love episode 2 of this season. I think so far, out of the 3 episodes we've gotten, episode 2 was by far the best one. But this is still very solid. It's still, it still gets us from point A to point B. But I hope that the pace picks up a little bit as we move forward. All right.
I also thought this was a good episode. I think the episode really hit kind of the emotional motivations and drive needed for the season. So I think this one's kind of expressing kind of where the while we're not going as kind of like basically kind of what Tiki's saying here. It's not going as like the action's not really. I don't want to just say action for the action's sake, but it's not as like as. We're taking our time with this season. We're building, and I think for the build we're doing here, really making it all personal, just kind of seeing how personal a struggle this is between Chuck and Jimmy. So really taking our time with that. I like that. I just think like this episode really hits upon like kind of setting up the emotions and why this is going to be such a painful battle. It's really kind of hypes that up.
Sure.
And again, I think the performances are really strong in this episode. Get some really excellent shots. It puts Jimmy at the beginning of kind of a low point at a disadvantage. He's going to be building himself up from this point going forward. It's kind of the underdog story gets initiated in this episode going forward. And basically this season, this kind of suggests that this season is going to be an underdog story with an unhappy ending.
Mm.
That's kind of what this episode kind of suggests for the season at this juncture. So again, solid episode. Again, Mike and Fring as a good pair, but again, just the Bob Odenkirk really delivered this episode. Got some really good emotions. I think, and that ending is really sweet. Really loved it.
Sure. All right, so that's all for now. We'll be taking a temporary recess until next time.
Remember, kids, when you get that phone call, make it count. Better Call Saul! Saul Goodman Associates is the one-stop shop for all your legal needs.
And with that, we are adjourned.
We could totally be lawyers.
Totally.